So hello everybody. I am a presenter, and I know that because I have this tag that says presenter on it. But of course, I don't have where to put the presenter tag because my shirt's too delicate to put it up here, and so here it is on my knee. The only safe place to stick a needle through. Bad product design, right? When are they going to get that right? I guess they have the magnet ones now, so that's good. So I want to give you guys some context for this talk. Women on Women, it's not what you think. This is a talk that I created. I'll throw the word in, I designed, and that's about the only connection to design we're going to have today. So I designed this talk in order to convince corporations that it makes a really good idea to have more balance of women in advertising. And as you're going to learn, the imbalances are huge right now. So this is actually targeted toward corporations. And so if you're all corporations, that's great. If you're not, then you guys will just have to bear with me and learn some new facts, hopefully, that you'll find interesting. So I guess we'll just get started. Women on Women. How you can reach out to a broader audience and make more money. So hi, I'm Juliana Lukasik. I'm the owner and director for At-Large Films, a Portland-based creative content production company. As a director, I've worked extensively with Nintendo of America, creating Nintendo of America directing spots for the, I'm going to look at my notes for a second. I got off to a bad start. Directing for Wii, Wii U, and DS as they created, as they launched their products. And I have also, back in 1999 when I started the company, and hey, there's a picture of me in 1999. And I gotta say that, first of all, I look like a deer caught in the headlights. You know, it's like, I bought the company. I also clearly didn't understand the proper use of sunscreen. I didn't doctor that photo, it's just I had a really weird tan. And I also would note that I look like I'm about, 12. So I'm not sure, no wonder I was having a hard time talking corporations into investing their money with me. But back to 1999, when I bought the company, At-Large was a very traditional commercial production company. At any given time, we would represent 6 to 8 different directors. And in fact, the directors were our product. So when an advertising agency would come to us, we would put together a compilation of their work on the reel with the hope that our director would be chosen, which would then lead to the production company producing the job. So everything went along very well. We had great creative talent, and we were growing on a rate of about 10 to 20% per year. In around 2003, I think it was, I went to a presentation and I learned some facts that were really, really interesting to me. I learned, the presenter demonstrated some really interesting information that women make the purchase decision a staggering 85% of the time. And even in typically male-dominated categories like automobiles and home electronics, women are making the purchase decision at least 50% of the time. Sometimes even more than that. To say that this presentation had a great effect on me is really putting it mildly. I took a look at my own company and I determined that it was of critical importance that I start representing some women directors. I instinctively knew that this was a really, really great opportunity for growth for my company. So I started looking around for some women directors, and I ran into my first major stumbling block. I couldn't find any. So I want to point something out here. This is a really important graph. In 1998, women directors, and that would include, they don't even single out commercial directors, there's so few of us. Women directors of feature films, independent films, documentaries, commercials, we comprised 9% of all directors. And in 2011, it actually was down to 5%. So it's actually gotten worse. From when I started my career in 1990 until I directed my first project in 2005, I never once worked with a female director. So this means, so back to 2003. Way back then, I also noticed that there were very few women creative directors at advertising agencies. It turns out that in this category, creative directors and directors, there's a huge imbalance of men and women. Currently, women creative directors are 3% of all agency creative directors in the United States. So this means that 97% of the time, men are selling to women, no matter what the product or who the audience. You know, frequently I have clients come to me and they say, we'd like you to do a particular advertisement really targeted at a very specific audience. For example, I had a client come to me and say, we'd like you to create an authentic spot, an authentic campaign for the Hispanic population. So we jumped into action, we brought together a team of Latino specialists. We found a Hispanic consultant. We hired a Hispanic director, and we found as many crew people as we possibly could for the project. It made perfect sense to our client that in order to have an authentic message targeted to the Hispanic population, we needed to have Hispanic people on the team. But statistics are showing that that same logic doesn't translate when we're talking about selling to the female consumers. So now you might be saying to yourself, this woman doesn't think men can advertise to women. And that's not true. Men have been doing a sometimes admirable job of advertising to a diverse population. You know, consumers buying products is kind of the engine that makes our economy grow. It's really important in the United States. What I'm suggesting is that we've missed an opportunity. So we know from the statistics that currently men are at the creative helm in advertising products. What if we had more women at the creative helm? What if we had more women talking to women? Would we be able to reach the really lucrative and desirable group of women aged 30 to 65 that have a lot of money to spend? Do women respond differently to women? If women are on the team from the beginning, there's some very distinct advantages. Women can provide perspective when it comes to the elusive, loyal female customer, and they are also more likely to consider multi-generational issues for their parents, for their children and aging parents. Women may be more likely to be loyal to companies and products and services that are run by women, created for women, and treat women well in the media. Practically speaking, if you're in a position to do so, you should hire women for all stages of your product's life cycle. Any business that seeks to gain loyalty must instill a sense of value for their service, must instill a sense of value for their product and services, whether real or imagined. Women are naturally intuitive. They can interpret results and draw conclusions based on body language, and they can use that body language, they are naturally intuitive. They can interpret results and draw conclusions based on unspoken body language and values. I'm stumbling here, I don't know what happened. I was on a roll, but I'll get back on here. Values can really differ between men and women. And a man should not assume that he understands value the same as a woman does. Instilling a sense of value and loyalty should drive every aspect of your product's development. And women are also very detail-oriented and consider other practical factors that men may or may not consider. And they're highly influential. Word of mouth is absolutely critical. If your product fails them, or it fails to reach the value proposition that you promoted, a woman will immediately rush out and tell her entire circle of friends and family. So I actually recently found a non-Lululemon brand of leggings that I love. It's a great product. It's even better than the other brand. And it's cheaper. So I immediately tell all my friends. I do it instinctively, I do it naturally, I don't even think about it. and they've created a loyal customer, so I'll keep buying that brand over and over again. So I'm going to give you guys some proof, right? You need some proof about this. I'm going to give you some success stories, but first I'm going to take a drink, because I'm getting kind of dry mouth here. Whew. And by the way, I'm thrilled with interruptions and questions. So, say that again?
What was the brand? Girl, now you know.
Well, I'll tell you can go to Nordstrom, and it's the Nordstrom brand, and it is in their active department, and the inside of the leggings is fuzzy, and the outside is kind of smooth, so you can reverse them. So in the winter, you wear the fuzzy side in, and you feel all cozy, and in the summer, you wear the smooth side in, and you stay cool. I tell you all, right now, rush out and get them. They are the best. And of course, they have the wide waistband, ladies. Sorry, guys. You can try them too. I bet they'd be comfortable on guys. And you know what they say? I'm picturing several of you in them. Kind of like the whole theory of picturing people in their underwear. It's working for me. All right, so back to some success stories. In 2006, we relaunched their WE. They had a desire to reach out to a broader audience, especially women. And I was there from the beginning, directing spots directing lifestyle videos that included the entire family. And actually, I can't believe it, don't they look kind of dated? And that was only 2006. I think it's the sweater set. So in 2007, the WE was outselling Sony PlayStation 3-1. And in 2008, their sales had quadrupled. Today, the WE has actually sold 67 million WE and Wii U consoles worldwide. So as a director, I like to do some market research myself. So I frequently ask as many people questions about the product. That's just part of my process. And I ask women, mainly moms, what they thought about the WE, and I get these same answers over and over again. And the answers I would get would be, it gets my kids off the couch, or I can actually play the games myself, so it's really approachable, or this was the one I get the most by far. My parents play Wii bowling in the senior center. I love that one because it's so true. I mean, there's whole bowling tournaments at senior centers based around the Wii. And those comments are universal, and they're really powerful. And what they're doing is they're creating this kind of loyal shared experience. And these women will tell all their friends, and they will tell anybody they can about it, because that's the way women are. And that's why it's very important to pay attention to what they're talking about. And they thought that at Nintendo as well. If you're reaching out specifically to women, it is absolutely critical that you understand the needs and wants of your target audience. Additionally, it's important to seek the opinion of your target audience, in this case women, by integrating them into all aspects of the strategy and execution process. That was Phil Robb, former director of retail marketing at Nintendo of America. So Toyota had a problem. It was called the Venza. When it first came out, it was marketed to both older and younger audiences, and not very successfully. So Toyota's changed their tack. It's now actually marketed as a car for active baby boomers. And I happen to know that it works because I went out and bought one. I'm susceptible to advertising. I liked it, went out and bought one, and I love the car. I tell everybody about it. Sometimes, they get kind of tired of hearing it, but I do tell everybody about it because I want everybody to share in that value. So they've created a very loyal customer, and of course, if I consider having a new car, which I don't do very often, I admit, but if I do, I will actually consider Toyota first, and that's a pretty powerful statement. They released a series of commercials, and they were sort of these aimless 20-somethings snarking about their parents' dull and boring lives. And the images were contrasted with shots of the parents out and about. They were driving around, they were mountain biking, they were going to concerts, just out and about having a great time, while the kids were back in the house. They were in their bedrooms checking their Facebook stats and rolling their eyes in general. And the person in charge of this campaign, the co-creative director for this whole campaign, was a woman. And these spots have universally been considered very successful at reaching out to a broader audience. To reach a broad market, especially to women, the creative needs to feel authentic. You know, there's nothing wrong with putting a 40-year-old woman on a mountain bike. Margaret King, executive creative director at Saatchi & Saatchi. You know, when I was going to quote her, I was looking for one that was a little more powerful, and I kept going back to this because this is what it means to be authentic. There are so many ads out there that would never think of putting an older woman on a mountain bike, you know, as if they've broken some rule. And yet that's what 40-year-old women do. We ride mountain bikes, we hike, we are very active. So it was a very effective campaign. In 2004, Dove launched a campaign called Real Beauty. And instead of using models, they used real women in their advertisements. And apparently, because the women really related to these women, they saw huge sales growth. Their statistics show that their sales grew 700% for some of their products. And their product line went from one firming cream to include several other items like shower gels and bath gels. So apparently the women relating to these other women had paid huge dividends for Dove. And today they continue to create authentic advertising campaigns targeted to attracting real women. I also spoke to the head of the campaign, a woman. She works for Ogilvy Mather in London, and she confirmed something. She confirmed that they hire female directors whenever possible, and they also hire as many women crew members as they can when they're filming their television commercials. So I think that we've learned here from all of these statistics that there's huge growth potential for advertising to a broader market. If you create an authentic message, you will create some awareness that she will share with her entire circle of friends. We've established that women love value, and if you gain her trust, then you will get the final jackpot, which is gaining her loyalty. And if you follow this path, you will have increased sales. I feel confident that I've demonstrated that there's a potential solution for your companies and products. But it's a little overwhelming, right? You may be saying to yourself, I already have relationships with marketing firms that are working well for me. Where do I find all these women creatives? Start with a project. Encourage your current relationships to include more women. Hire marketing firms that already have women in place. Give them a project or two. Track the results, and when you see the rewards, expand your vendor list to include more balance. So I feel like I want to thank you in advance for your willingness to consider these new approaches for reaching out to a more broad audience. Involving more women in the sales process will have a huge positive effect on your bottom line. And also, most importantly, you will be promoting the concept that there can be more balance in how we advertise to our diverse population. Making more money and doing the right thing, that's a win-win for everyone. And that's my presentation. Now, I love doing presentations like that, and actually today was the first day I did that one. You can see I kind of stumbled a little bit. That's okay. I love doing those presentations. I also am much more interested in, talking to people and talking to people about what they think about these things. So I welcome questions, and if you don't have them now, then you can ask them later. I'll hang around because I have this kind of passion for market research, and so I'm my own personal market researcher. So first of all, are there any questions right now?
I find your data really fascinating and shocking. And I was wondering if you had any theories about why the percentages are so low and what part of it. There are a lot of women who are creative
She asked if I had theories. I always have theories. I've been doing a lot of research on this, and the theories, you know, of course there's no black and white answer, but there are some very distinct answers. There are barriers for women entering into creative field that are based on, think of it this way, when we created our business model, it was around the 50s, and it was based on the 50s lifestyle. So the dad went out to work, mom stayed home, and that was fine for everybody. We all know that that doesn't work anymore. That basis of how we approach business is no longer viable. Two people have to work to make a living. It just is not acceptable anymore that one person stays home. So there's a lot of, but that's what society accepts. So if you're a guy and you're a creative director in an advertising agency and you say, I have to go out to, I have to go to my son's soccer game, so I'm gonna have to leave this meeting a little early. The table goes, oh wow, what a great dad. He's just awesome. If a female creative director does the same thing, she's not committed. She's not committed to her job. And those subtle societal messages are absolutely critical when we're talking about this issue. There's also a check. Okay, I'm just gonna have to talk loud. Check. So I'll let her try to fix it. There's also a really critical issue around building confidence in young women. So as a director, I have talked to a lot of young women about it, and they say, I'm intimidated to come out on set. I don't want to be the leader of this whole group of people. I don't want to take that responsibility. I don't have the confidence to do it. There's a disconnect in how we're teaching our young girls about confidence, and that is a big part of this. And then there is that enjoyable boys club. That is true in this industry. These are subtle issues. So imagine you're hanging out with a group at the office, and the guy says, the big boss says, who's a man for sure, he says, got a fantasy football league going. And he goes, I'd like Joe and Bob and Ben, you guys want to join? And there's Sue sitting over there, doesn't even get asked. And then while they're having their big fantasy football meeting, Sue's not there, and guess what? A promotion gets discussed. These are really subtle problems that keep women from progressing to the higher levels. And then there's just not a commitment there's a lot of talk about how important it is to have women in these creative roles, but there's not a commitment to it. Until there's a commitment by corporations to demand balance from their marketing teams, we're not going to see any significant improvements. Yes?
You said that you've given this talk to a lot of companies that are looking to increase their advertising in new ways. I was wondering if you could speak to the reaction that you get from people. Is it something that they're like really interested in? Is this the first time they've seen these numbers?
I'm thrilled that she thinks I've given this talk before. This is actually the first time I've done this particular one.